2, 1.
The Carringtons are back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are discussing the CW's brand new remake pilot, Dynasty. We have a lot of thoughts, so don't move a muscle.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
TV pilot reviews here on... Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TV pilot reviews here on AfterBuzz TV. Guys, my name is Jeff Graham. If you want to find me online, you can do so at Jeffrey C. Graham. For those tuning in for the first time, this is a show where we review... Yeah.
Let's start that over. Sorry,
Okay.
There's just a bunch of technical things going on.
No worries.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
Pull back up your sleeve. Alright guys, sorry, hold on, I'm just getting your music pumped up because with all the Skype I just didn't have that ready. My apologies. Alright, perfect. Alright, Jeff, going live in 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, Carmen?
Carringtons are back. The Carringtons are back here on AfterBuzz TV as we discuss the CW's brand new remake, Dynasty. So don't move a muscle.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TV Pilot Reviews here on AfterBuzz TV. Guys, my name is Jeff Graham. If you want to find me online, you can do so at Jeffrey C. Graham. And for those tuning in for the first time, this is a show where we review Hollywood's hottest new pilots and let you know whether we should pass or play. Of course, I'm not doing this alone. I've got a couple amazing co-panelists here with me. DeAnjilo, let's start with you.
This was a smooth track. Wow,
I know, man.
I'm impressed by this.
I like the music in the pilot.
I do. It was kind of.
Even
This
if I
sounds
didn't-
better now than it did in the show, though. Actually.
Maybe because the show's not playing,
Yeah.
which is a preview as to my thoughts.
Oh my goodness. So I'm DeAnjilo. You can hit me up on Twitter at DeAnjilo TV or on Instagram at DeAnjilo. We also have a special guest with us.
Yes, we
Hi,
do.
guys.
A new family member.
New
more so.
family
Thank you,
member. yeah.
family, yay. I'm Linda Antwi, and you can find me at Linda So Girly all across social media.
Linda, we're
And
so
my-
excited to have you.
Thank
you for being
you.
here. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah,
Get more opinions, you know.
absolutely.
Add more members to the family. Even
More
though
members
The
to the
show is a little bit more complicated than that.
Absolutely. And guys, of course, you see that Sam is not here today, but the good news is we do have her remotely. So I believe we have Sam on the line. Sam, can you hear us? I think we're calling her as we speak. We will be with Sam in just a moment where she will introduce herself. In the meantime, let's go ahead. We can start with our passer plays. So we'll go ahead and do our overall. Actually, we do have Sam. Sam, can you hear us? I think she might be muted. I wonder if the best bet would be to have Sam call the phone number of our studio.
Because we have to have a full family.
We do have to have the full
everybody.
family. I'm going to go ahead, guys, this is the fun of live TV. I'm going to go ahead and text Sam our studio phone number, and we're going to have her call in. In the meantime, Dee, can you start with your overall thoughts? And Bree,
Yeah.
before I do that, just pull up the number of our studio so I can text it to Sam.
I will give my overall thoughts. I'm gonna give it a pass. I'm looking forward to explaining it more. I don't think it's a bad show though. That's like one thing that I think is really interesting. Like this is gonna be the first time I pass on a show that is just like not something that I can say is a bad show. I'm gonna say it's a show that it's not for me. So I'll elaborate on that, but that's where I am. How about you, Linda?
Am I allowed to be a tentative play?
Yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
even use that exact wording of tentative play.
That's
I'm going to
good,
be
yeah.
a tentative play because originally I wanted to say pass, but I will explain as we go along why I'm going to be on the fence.
On the fence. All right,
Yes.
Okay. I like to make my passer play like based on if I care enough to watch the next episode, and that's why I'm kind of giving it a pass because I know I'm not gonna really care enough. I was a little intrigued, but I felt shame for my intrigue, so I'm not gonna check it out again.
The reason why I'm a tentative play is because my parents and my mom specifically, she grew up on Dynasty, and we talked about it before I watched the pilot, and she was all about, oh, you have to give it a chance because the first season back in the 80s was terrible.
Oh, really?
The whole first season.
Oh, wow.
So she's like, you got to stick it out because literally said they're laying the groundwork.
I was
so that's
reading
why
that.
I'm on the fence. She believes that.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I think they added Joan Collins in season 2, and that was like what really turned up the show.
Yes.
I have really similar thoughts to you, DeAnjilo. I thought it was a well-written show. I thought it was a pretty well-acted show, barring a couple of performances.
Yeah, I like your word usage there.
Yeah, but like I thought it looked really good. I gotta say, like I think it was beautifully shot.
Yeah.
But overall, I think I've got to pass. I just feel like it's not a show for me. Even despite the fact that like I do think it was a decently well-written show and a well-acted show. So we'll get more into it in just a sec. But let's go ahead and talk. Oh, so I guess that would mean right now I am a pass officially.
Yeah.
I think at this point we should go ahead and get into sort of the development of this show. This is a remake, as you mentioned, Linda. Do you guys have any experience with the previous iteration of Dynasty?
I have a little bit just from what my mom has told me.
When she watched,
When she watched it, she was like it was a huge thing in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it, I think, was like a trailblazer. From my understanding, from what I read and what she's told me, it's been a trailblazer for fashion. And it was kind of like, I'm not sure what the show was, but it was a show about like the rich and famous, like a reality show. That was the show that people watched, and they were like, you know what, Dynasty and Dallas,
Yeah,
I want to
that was
live
their
that.
thing.
I want to live that lifestyle, and that's what my mom was like. This is amazing.
I think
Look
so
at all the
interesting.
glitz. Look at all the money, right? So
Yeah, I think those are the two like competing shows at the
Yeah.
time,
Right.
were Dynasty and Dallas.
I think it's so interesting because when I was watching the trailer, the pump up for the show, and they were talking about how big of a deal that show was in the 80s, and I was like, that pretty much, if I'm into a show from then, it's because my parents were watching it.
Yeah.
Never had heard of it, like never had heard of anything of it, so it was like a really fresh look for me, which has its pros and cons because it could be like I have nothing to compare it to.
Right.
So it was an interesting experience for me.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it's interesting. Just to give you guys some context as to what the original show was, I pulled a quote from online. It's an Aaron Spelling show. And Aaron Spelling, you think of some of the giants of TV producing. You think of Norman Lear. You think of now Josh Schwartz, who actually created this show. But Aaron Spelling was kind of the godfather of a lot of soapy shows in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think we might have Sam on the line now. Sam, can you hear
You
us?
guys, we do have Sam on.
Awesome!
Yay. Full family, let's go.
Sam, really quick, I do want to hear your initial thoughts and your pass or play.
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, I feel like I need to apologize to everybody for all the hype.
Sam's been very
She was
excited
big on
about this show.
Dynasty. She was big.
I have been so excited about this show, and I was insanely disappointed. I think I might be a little bit harsh on it just because I love these kinds of shows.
Yeah.
But I thought that, not a lot of us have seen the original Dynasty. I just know it from its reputation. I've never personally seen it. But in a way, I was thinking as I was watching it, are they expecting us to know these dynamics? Because I don't, and it's just really weird to me. And it just didn't match up.
Interesting.
Personally.
So you feel like not having seen the original show inhibited your viewing experience overall?
Maybe, but I also just felt as though there wasn't one character that we could root for, which is very important in a pilot.
Yeah. And I can feel you, especially Sam, because I know you were so excited for this pilot, so you probably feel like you were betrayed.
I do. I feel a little bit betrayed by it, and I'm a pass right now.
You're a pass. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and kind of read this sort of thing that I found online. So again, Aaron Spelling, giant of TV, was kind of the brainchild behind this. He was already well known for shows like Starsky and Hutch and Charlie's Angels and even Love Boat. And he took on Richard and Esther Shapiro, who were kind of the creators of this show, who were describing a rich and powerful family who lived and sinned in a 48-room Denver mansion. Basically, Aaron Spelling said in 1985, we wanted to do something that we thought would be fun, like an American fantasy. We thought people had seen enough stories where families fell apart. We wanted a strong 19th century sort of family where people were in conflict but loved each other in spite of everything. So that's kind of like the basis for the original Dynasty. Of course, this project was helmed by the very famous Josh Schwartz, who's the brainchild behind shows like The OC and Gossip Girl. Do you guys have any context with those shows?
I do.
How about you? So, Linda, are you a fan of those shows?
I actually really loved Gossip Girls. OC, I was, I could take it or leave it, but I really loved Gossip Girls. And I think that with Josh and Stephanie, I did have high expectations.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping that I can get into the show.
Okay, cool.
But I agree with Sam, like, we don't know these characters. And one of the things that I saw as well was I used to watch Dallas, the remake that was back in 2014.
There was that's right.
And there
I
was
forgot.
it was a continuation. So it was like our generation, but the Dallas version, and then they brought in some of the old characters. That I could follow. This, I'm just kind of like, okay, who's who and what's what?
It's a little vague, maybe, or just hard to kind of sink your teeth into. I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
DeAnjilo.
I didn't watch the OC, but Gossip Girls I got into because a girl I was talking to at the time was into it, so we watched it a lot. So I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like Gossip Girls.
Yeah.
I like
I've
the
heard
style of
Gossip
it.
Girl
Yeah,
is
it
really
was pretty
good. Yeah.
So I have an understanding of the style, and I definitely see some similarities there.
And Sam, you're a super fan of both of these shows, right?
How did you know, Jack? I am a huge super fan of both Gossip Girl and the OC. I swear I've rewatched probably the entirety of both of those series 5 times.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, and with both of those pilots, I think both Gossip Girl and the OC are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
This was not. It just seemed like it was trying to take from both of those shows and other shows and just expect it to like sit on its feet without giving us a lot to take from.
Interesting. I think
I'm being really harsh. Wow.
She's
I
the
had,
Simon
really high
Cowell.
expectations. I had no expectations, and we've talked about shows where I feel like pilots were actually bad. I would not say that this was a bad pilot.
Yeah.
It wasn't an exceptional pilot. I pass on it because it's not for me.
Yes.
However, if someone is to say that they are looking forward to the show or enjoy this show, I completely understand. There are some very compelling aspects to it.
Yeah, Sam, I'm glad you said that. It's interesting. A lot of TV writers actually cite the OC pilot as one of the best written pilots in terms of world building and establishing a tone. Even though it's a teen show, the pilot does its job so much better than a lot of pilots do for their actual shows. So we know that Josh Schwartz knows how to come out of the gate swinging. Whether or not he did it for this show is the discussion that we'll kind of have today. But
Yeah.
there it is. Linda, I'm glad you mentioned Stephanie Savage, of course, because she's the other sort of mastermind who's behind this. So we want to make sure we give her credit as well, because it's not just a Josh Schwartz gig. We also have Sally Patrick, who's the third credited development writer who kind of made this project happen. So that's kind of the history and the development of the show. I know CW's been really excited about it. It looks like they put a lot of money into this pilot, except for the plane and the explosion, which is a bit of spoiler alert. That you don't know when it's happening. You don't, and you don't even know what I mean by explosion.
That's fine. You're fine. You didn't spoil it.
But it didn't look great to me. Besides, I mean, I think it looked like a high budget pilot, but those
It
besides
felt
those two,
CW-esque.
Yeah.
Their explosions look like that.
you're so right. That's hilarious.
Guys, I have a theory about that, okay? There's a theory.
Okay, what's the theory?
Well, it's that he didn't freaking die,
Yeah.
and that's why it's so stupid.
Hey, that's a spoiler.
Spoiler.
Stop.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah. I didn't know that was you. You were talking about that. You were talking about explosions for your theory.
So for those who are tuning in, we are getting into spoilers.
But wait, can
But
we
they don't know who he is.
Yeah, they don't know who he
Could
is.
be anybody.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, jet lag, guys. What can I do?
Yeah.
Before we move forward, can we talk about the collage that they had in the beginning with the dynasties of the Kardashians and the
Oh,
Murdoch
yeah, the
family?
montage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Voiceover
very-
at the beginning.
What did you think of that?
That's interesting. I think it set the tone. I mean, I didn't think much of it. It set the tone for what to expect. It was good for me because I have no idea what to expect from Dynasty. So for me, it was like, okay, this is what you can expect. This is the context for it in this era.
Yeah.
And so, like, when they said Kardashians, when they showed us Trump and, like, family like that, it's like, okay, this is what I can expect from them. So it worked for me.
Yeah, I think I feel like it kind of worked. I felt a little manipulated or something.
Yeah,
like it was like just a way to kind of cash grab on zeitgeist, pop cultural zeitgeist,
yeah,
just to
yeah.
sort of trick me into
you guys
thinking
weren't
it's a
into
smart
it.
show or something.
Yeah.
That might sound critical, but I get what they were doing, and
Yeah.
I'm sure if their goal is to push back against the notion that this is a stale remake and that they're just borrowing from the conventions of the original, they thought, what can we do to immediately modernize the show? And so
there are
showing
definitely some twists because
there are some
The
twists.
son was definitely not. Oh, I don't want to spoil. I'm
at
sorry.
this point, if you're still listening, we're getting spoilers.
Can I spoil now?
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact that the son wasn't gay.
Right.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't on TV. So.
And I feel like that montage was an example of them trying to contextualize and modernize the show. But what's funny is in 5 years, that's going to age the show so much.
And I felt like it kind of aged it already. Like it just felt like they pulled a YouTube clip and like popped it in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I agree with you overall. Sam, what was your thought on the kind of montage intro?
I would have liked it if it would have made more sense to the story,
Yeah.
which I don't think that it really did. I did think it was manipulative, and I just am like, I'm not that stupid. Like, you can't get me this way, guys. But I really would have loved the pop culture references if it made sense.
Yeah.
To me, those just didn't.
Yeah, I agree. They might have just been kind of like clickbait for TV almost, like the TV version of clickbait. At this point, we kind of move into talking about the specific characters and performances. So what I'm going to do real quick is just read our cast list and our characters and give the actors the credit they deserve. Kind of in this lead role, we have Elizabeth, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Giles? Or Gil? I'm guessing it's Gillies.
I think so.
Elizabeth Gillies playing Fallon Carrington. We have Natalie Kelly playing Crystal Flores. We have James McKay playing Stephen Carrington, who's sort of the gay brother. We have Robert Christopher Riley playing Michael Culhane, who I'm assuming is sort of the competitor who she partners with.
Yeah, the Carrington, right? Carrington partner.
You said Michael Cohan. He wasn't he the drummer?
The drummer.
Driver.
Yeah,
That she
he must
hooked
have
up
been.
with? Yeah.
Okay, great. And we have Sam Adegoke playing Jeff Colby, who he's the competitor. Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, because even per the original, it's the Carringtons versus the Colbys. That's like the classic family feud. We have Rafael de la Fuente, who is... Thank you.
I see which name you prepared for.
Yes. Clearly, only one of these. Who's Sammy Joe Jones, who is, of course, Stephen Carrington's boyfriend. We have Alan Dale playing Joseph Anders. And finally, we have Grant Show playing Blake Carrington. What did you guys think of these actors and characters overall, the general performances in the show?
I will say that this was the hit or miss area for it. I don't know where to critique them specifically, but I know for instance when I saw Fallon's character at the beginning, I didn't believe her. It got a little better as certain actions started to happen, but the voiceovers, that's where the voiceovers started to feel fake to me.
Yeah.
Because they wanted me to really feel a certain, they told me how to feel about her as opposed to showing me. And so like for her, I don't know if it was her, if that was the writing, and I was just kind of like, this is not working for me.
A bit of a disconnect between what was happening on screen and what you were able to buy into.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think, Linda?
I mean, I agree with Dee. I think that I felt a little manipulated by the voiceover. Like, you don't have to tell me you're the black sheep. Just act it.
Yeah.
But for Elizabeth, I think she did a great job given this is supposed to be like a soap opera. And I know that we talked a little bit earlier. I felt it was soapy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not used to watching like soapy type of shows.
Yeah.
But if it's supposed to be like over the top acting and, you know, very dramatic, then she nailed it.
Yeah, I do think tone is maybe a bit of a problem right now, and we'll kind of get into... I feel like this pilot was trying to maybe navigate two tones at the same time, which sometimes worked for me and sometimes didn't. In terms of the characters and performances, and Sam, I'll be excited to hear what you think too, but overall, I think these performances are fine. They're doing the jobs they need to. I think any errors in performance might owe to the tonal problems the show's having right now. I do have to say there's one performance that I'm really not liking, and that's actually Grant Show playing Blake Carrington.
Which is an important character.
I know. So basically for those, if you're still listening, you've probably seen the show, but if you haven't, this is a show about a very, very powerful business family, and the patriarch of this entire company is sort of this traditional blue blood business owner named Blake Carrington. He's played by Grant Show, who, of course, has a history with teen shows. He was in Melrose Place, or no, Beverly Hills 90210.
Melrose Place.
Melrose Place, thank you. To me, they're kind of the same show.
They really are.
But I really had problems with this performance. I don't know if I'm the only one. Sam, I'd be interested to hear your take. I haven't let you even speak on the characters in general yet, but...
Okay, so I know him from Melrose Place, and he was recently in Devious Maids. And I like him in that. I know that, he's good. All I can think of is that he's, like, hiding a lot of secrets,
Yeah.
and he's really bad at it. I mean, it's like there's a huge missing piece, I feel like, of this entire pilot that we don't see, which would explain his behavior and his children's behavior and his, now wife's behavior. It just seems like we missed something that would explain it all. I don't know, but they didn't show it to us, so what are we gonna do?
And do you remember in the beginning in the voiceover part where they talk about how he's very blue collar and he's not changing with the world and he can't believe all the changes and he's kind of like a guy's guy? I don't feel like that character portrayed that at all. Like I wrote a note that I can't believe he's not changing with the world. Like, his fiance is Latina, and his son is gay, and he's open to it. So what part is not changing?
Yeah.
All of a
really good
sudden
point.
you're
That's
not
a very good point.
you're not
Yeah.
into fracking and eco-friend. Like, I don't know. I just didn't believe it.
Yeah, there's something. There were a lot of moments when I kind of heard something said, but didn't necessarily see it on
Exactly.
screen. There was sort of a disconnect between what I think I was supposed to be seeing and what I was actually seeing in this pilot.
Yeah.
Sam?
I just think it's kind of a bummer. If you're going to take an old show and really go by the books with that plot, then show that, then do that. If you're not going to do that, create new characters
I
Yeah.
agree.
that are going to be based off of those characters. I think that's where they struggled with.
Yeah. So I think for the most part, most of these performances are good. I'd be curious to hear you guys' take on the performance that Grant Show is giving us. Maybe I'm being critical. I think I'm curious to hear your guys' opinions because for some reason it really didn't work for me. And I don't know, maybe for you it was maybe a writing thing where you just weren't seeing.
I just didn't believe him as
Yeah.
a blue collar, like straight
Yeah,
narrow. Like, it's
traditional.
only going to be this way, and I'm not changing with the world because
Right.
I'm so powerful. And I also didn't kind of believe him as the patriarchy of the family.
Yeah.
He seemed a little, I don't know, maybe I'm stuck with him not being that way, like too young. Maybe I feel like
He
should
just
have been
didn't seem
older.
alpha enough, maybe.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's a general thing. It's not specific to him. It's just I didn't believe most. Like, there were moments where I was like, okay, this is not bad, and there were other moments where I was like, I don't really believe you. So,
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if it's the acting. I don't know if it's the writing.
Right. Or the direction.
Or the direction.
Yeah.
So.
I will say there is one performance in character that I did really like overall, and that was actually James McKay playing Stephen Carrington. He's the sort of gay son who's the progressive, sort of liberal, open-minded protest soul that's pushing back against sort of the traditionalism of his family. I don't know. I was very charmed by this performance, and to me, this was the one character I thought was very vividly drawn compared to the rest of the characters on this show.
I agree with you, and I think that he was having fun with it. Like, at least from a viewer perspective and my perspective, I believed his character, and I believed he was like having fun and liberal, and he's gonna do what he wants, and he's breaking the walls. I believed all of that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sam?
He was by far and away my favorite character, as well as, is it Sammy Joe? Is that what they're calling him?
Yeah, his boyfriend.
Yeah, his boyfriend, who people in the chat told me that was actually played by Heather Locklear in the original show.
Wow.
Yep.
Cool.
So they switched some stuff up. I like that.
And just so, because I wrote it down as a note too. So it was Sammy Joe, and in this show he's going to be Sam Jones.
Oh, nice.
So he's
Yeah.
like the male version of it. Yeah.
Love it.
So, in terms of the overall plot, I think this is where the show lost me a bit. Because this is kind of the way I feel in general about this show. I think 20 years ago, seeing a very dramatic rich white family was probably kind of new and fresh and fun. Whereas I think in 2017, seeing a wealthy white family, like, we can watch any reality show, we can watch The Housewives, we can watch The Kardashians. I just don't really care to watch this show, unfortunately. Even though, again, I think it's pretty well written. I think it could have been much worse. I just don't really care that much today about a really super rich white family.
I think it was really well said. I don't think I thought about it in that way, but everything, like I've said, the show is it's all right, you know,
Yeah.
to me. But I was like, I don't think I'm going to revisit it, and that's probably why it doesn't stand out.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything from it. Like, I'm not stimulated in a certain way. Like, I don't feel a really strong commentary or anything. Like,
Right.
I feel like that's the direction of shows now,
Mm-hmm.
and so this show kind of blends in with stuff I've seen growing up, and I think that's really well said. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but I'm gonna stick with my tentative play,
Good.
and here's why. Because maybe it's not just gonna be about that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's gonna be about the twists and turns,
Yeah.
and sticking as a family and being a family and the love of the family, but also all of the drama that comes with that. Because you work together, you play together, you're building this family out together, and introducing a new character, being the wife or the fiance, and what dynamic that's gonna play. So maybe it's gonna fit with the CW and Gossip Girls, because you remember Gossip Girls was really like a lot of infighting and all of that. So maybe they're doing that for the rich and famous.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think there were moments when they tried to push back against. It's like clear that the show knew it needed to update because like I think like they're like, what if we made the son gay? And like, what if the wife was Latina?
Right.
But to me, like,
And the Kobe's black.
Yeah, exactly. I just wish they would have pushed that stuff a little harder. Because even you think of a show like Empire, which is also about a really rich family, but like they're African American, which is like already just to me a little more interesting because there's so many options for TV. And historically, there have been so many options for TV about rich white people. Like to me, this show should be called First World Problems. You know what I mean? Like that's
That's good. That's good.
And yeah, again, like that's not necessarily me even criticizing the show. I'm just sort of like, why do I watch?
They're pulling on the nostalgia aspect.
Yeah.
They're pulling on the.
Can I say? Can you
Yeah.
guys hear me? Can I say something?
Yeah, jump in.
Of course.
Okay, so my problem isn't about it being, white people problems, because that's obviously what it is,
Yeah.
essentially. A lot of these shows are.
Right.
But it's that we can't relate to any of the characters. We aren't, like, who are we following? Who's the protagonist here?
Yeah.
Well,
And
I mean,
in a pilot, we need to see that.
yeah. You don't feel like Fallon is relatable in being a woman trying to establish herself in a male-dominated industry?
I mean, I really didn't like her.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. I mean, if anyone, I was relating to Crystal, which is freaking weird.
Yeah. Same. She has the same uphill battle, I feel like.
Yeah, I think the show really would have benefited from giving us a fish out of water character. Because that's what the OC does, right? Like, the OC is, to me, such an interesting pilot because it is white people, rich people problems until a poor kid shows up. And then it's like everyone has all these questions. Whereas if everyone's just rich,
Yeah.
it's like...
That's true. It's very good.
I just would have loved some kind of wrench
Yeah.
amidst all of the wealth.
And you almost thought you got it with the driver
Yeah.
until he's like, I make $200,000 a year.
And I'm like, what driver? I'm like, can I have this job? Right? That sounds great. I don't know. So I think to me, the plot and sort of the stakes of the show are just what I'm having problems with. Because even the stakes are like, if this doesn't go well, I might only have 49 cars. Like, that's just my opinion on the show. And for people who that stuff doesn't bother, I think they could really like the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just kind of my take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think. I mean, I'll keep this brief, but I do think they're really counting on the nostalgia and popularity of the show from the '80s.
Yeah.
I mean,
But is that the same audience?
exactly.
Because I
Yeah.
don't know if my mom's going to think that this is fantastic. And when I say super fan of the original show.
That's the fear, right? It's
So,
because... Go ahead, Sam. Yeah.
Sorry, Carlos Hernandez, I'm just checking the chat right now. He said, well, I think Crystal is the fish out of water, which I think she's the only one that I can actually relate to in some way.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's going to be her. It's going to be her eyes that we're going to be seeing this world, perhaps, moving forward.
Yeah, that would be interesting, and I would love some kind of twist. I think what's an interesting point you brought up is we're trying to capitalize on the nostalgia of the old show, but the fear is that if you are trying to capture the older fans of the original soap, it might be too racy. It might include too much... why is there a black guy? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But if you're trying to capture people my age, we're like, why is this all about rich white people? Like, I'm worried they're walking too much of a middle line and they're accidentally kind of creating a show that might not grab Anyone?
Right, because who's your audience?
Yeah.
Who's watching this? Because the CW as a network, who's your audience?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. That's what you have to remember. And if you're drawing in the older crowd, our parents' crowd, then I don't know. Are you hitting your target?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see what you guys think in the comments, especially if we have people who like the show more, because there's part of me that thinks for a decently well-written, good-looking show, I would like to see it succeed and I would like to see it improve. I think what I want to talk about now, which is pretty important to understanding the show, is just tone, because we've sort of talked about there was one specific moment in this pilot that I really liked, and that was actually when they really ramped up the soapiness. We're going to get spoilery right now, but my favorite part of the pilot was when these two women were catfighting. Yeah. And, like, maybe that's the guilty pleasure moment, and I don't know what that says about me, that my favorite moment
We all
is...
love drama. Come
Yeah,
on.
but that's what I wanted more of. Like, I'm like, if you're going to make a modern soap, we want more hair pulling. We
Yeah.
want more... This is the stuff that's the guilty pleasure fun stuff.
Yeah.
Where was all of that during this
Yeah.
pilot?
So is that the goal there? This is supposed to be a soap opera?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
don't
so.
think that's the goal.
Well, the original was a soap opera.
was?
It was
Yeah.
a nighttime
It was a
soap
primetime
opera.
soap.
It was a night. I think the original was one of the first nighttime soaps ever.
Yeah, and I just... That, to me, the
It
show
wasn't soapy
should...
enough. I agree.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I didn't know it was solely supposed to be a soap opera.
Yeah.
It was not dramatic enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think, Sam?
Well, Carlos Hernandez in the chat says that is what Dynasty, the original, was known for, is cat fights. And, who doesn't love to watch a cat fight? But I also didn't really understand the rivalry between the two. I rewound a little bit, and I was like, why do they hate each other? I don't get it, and I don't love to see women, fighting each other for a reason I don't understand. And I just, I didn't like the daughter. What's her name, Fallon?
Yeah, Fallon.
Yeah, I just really didn't care for her character at all, and it was very difficult for me to kind of relate to anything she was doing, and including in Crystal, those two relationships. I just don't get it. I have a stepmother. We didn't get along for a long time, but you would think I would understand this relationship, but I just did not.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it was very over the top, which is actually the part I liked the most. Yeah.
I think their dynamic was one of the more intriguing ones of the show, and I'm intrigued about her driver for some reason, because it's just so random to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's interesting, I
Yeah.
think, too. And I think they're kind of playing with something interesting from a class perspective there a little bit. And that's the stuff I could be more interested in if they dig into that more. There was one line that I was like, this is an example of what I think the show should be. Fallon says to her, you were going to not take the position because you wanted to honor your stepdaughter, and she says, that was before I met you.
Yeah.
And that's the moment when I was like, okay, I'm in. Like
That was a bar. Yeah.
And I just would have wanted more of that, I think. And if the show, I think, really leans into those elements, it could be like a really fun guilty pleasure show for me.
Yeah.
I think right now it's trying to be kind of this faux serious social commentary, and I want it to just be a trashy soap.
Yeah, maybe they should just go all in on the trashiness.
Yeah, I think it might be more enjoyable that way.
And the original was that, right? It
Yeah.
was the two main characters. What is Heather? Not Heather Locklear's character. What was her name? It was Alexis versus Crystal.
Okay.
And then so I read that's going to be Fallon, the new Fallon versus Crystal, and more of that.
Okay.
And then I read online that there is going to be more of the cattiness and the fighting and the hair pulling, because
that.
they're trying to say that not only is it about like women and power and leading the country, but why can't women fight like men? I literally read that online.
Okay.
I can see that.
So
Well-
maybe they're setting it up, it's just a pilot.
Yeah. I think I might join the tentative play category with you, Linda, because
you
if there's going to
changed
be...
opinion.
I might change.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm literally like putting on my bathrobe right now, and I'm listening, and I was like, no, hold on. Why?
But Sam, don't you love
No.
Gossip Girl and Pretty Little Liars and all the girl drama shows?
I love the heck out of it, but most of them, they're attacking men, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I like it a lot. I don't want to see women attacking each other. Even though those shows are kind of about women attacking each other, at the end of the day, they attack men also.
Right.
I like to see that.
Yeah,
more
I
than
hear
them
you.
attacking each other.
Yeah, I mean, there is, for for centuries, the entertainment, not centuries, but for
A long time.
for decades, the entertainment industry has been built on sort of the image that women can't get along. So it is kind of a bummer if
Yeah.
the show has to resort to that for success.
But they're fighting to run the show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They're fighting for
The
power.
twist,
Yeah.
They're fighting for power versus fighting for men.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
that's super
Eh,
refreshing.
exactly.
I think so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Literally
Well, a
power.
lot of our friends from the chat, I'm looking at it now, and they're saying wait till the second episode.
Great.
It gets crazier, all that good stuff. So
That's
I
good
have
to hear.
hope.
I have hope too. Do you feel you might be a tentative play as well, Sam?
I mean, you know how much I love the CW.
Yes.
If it pops up, I'm gonna watch. Yes, I'm gonna watch at
Oh
least
my
3 to
goodness,
4
you
episodes.
flip-floppers.
I just can't help it.
You guys are so wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Just one
7
more
years,
now.
7
Just
years.
one more.
No,
Tentative.
I'm pretty stuck here.
Okay, so do we think the show has runway? We like to kind of make predictions as to whether or not we think this show is going to get a second season, more episodes.
I mean, I think so. I can't reiterate this enough. I do think it has compelling aspects. If the drama's revved up, people are going to want to check it out.
Yeah.
I might have like my side eye out with the TV on, be like, oh, they fighting? All right, I'm coming in for that. Roll out after the fight. So I do think I'd actually be shocked to see this show canceled early.
Me too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that it's gonna go a second season,
Yeah.
and the reason why I think that it's gonna go a second season is, online they've all been talking about who's gonna play Alexis, and they're throwing like Heather Locklear out,
Cool.
which would be amazing because she was in the original, right? So I'm gonna go by what my mom said. You got to give it a full season, and then a second season, pow. So I
Yeah.
think it's gonna go there.
I would love to see Alicia Silverstone appear in one of these roles because she's such an
yeah.
iconic, like 90s.
Yeah.
Even, I guess Dynasty was 80s. But this is the point at which each of us kind of give our out of 5 where we would land on this show. I'll go ahead and start. I landed at a 2.9 out of 5 on this pilot.
Ooh, that is low.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than a half.
For
Right?
your tentative play, you give
It's
it a
almost
2.9.
it's almost 3 out of 5. It's almost 3. What about you, D?
This will probably be the highest I'll give a pass. I'd probably give it like a 3.9, 3.8.
Oh, dang.
Ish, yeah.
Because you liked it, but you're just a pass.
Yeah.
I
I'm
got
not gonna watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least Sam.
Sam?
What you got, Sam?
Oh. I'm close to Jeff. I'm a 3.0.
Whoa.
And as far as it moving on in the future, unless it has some real big star power behind it, which it very well may with all of the Dynasty, people that have been in the past, it might just get a go-ahead. But off of the pilot, I thought it was pretty dismal. In fact, I think I'd give it a 2.8.
Wow.
There you go.
I think
Linda?
that-
What you got?
I'm gonna go with a 3.
Man, I gave it the highest grade.
Just on a pilot level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I found like it was hard to follow. I didn't know all the characters, but as I got into it a little bit, I was like, okay, maybe. And then there was the fight, and are we gonna talk about the explosion?
We can talk about
Oh,
the explosion.
And then the explosion,
Yeah.
and someone might have died. And so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what happens. But 3 on pilots because I've definitely seen way better pilots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially from Josh Schwartz. I mean, I think he usually really knows how to hit his lane. And I think this episode was a bit more muddled than what we're used to from him, which is okay. That happens,
And do you think he might have been constrained by having to stick to the original model?
Yeah,
Definitely see
yeah.
that.
I think so, and I think the show. We kind of said this at the top, but like the show maybe felt was a little both held back by, but also pushing too far against what the original was, and didn't maybe make the firmest decision as to what it should have been. And I don't know if there were. I mean, I know that the original creators are producers on this show, so there's also the question of you wonder how the different generations of writers are sort of wanting to approach this hugely popular intellectual property.
Yeah.
But I actually think I'm going to watch the second episode. Because I'm curious to see. There was stuff that I really liked, and I think it's a pretty well-written show, even if I didn't love the pilots. So
I think you guys are going to be into it. I think it's
yeah,
gonna get better.
we'll see.
Yeah.
I want it to get more interesting. But Sam, any last thoughts about the actual show before we kind of wrap out?
Thank you guys for letting me, just share my thoughts, how much I feel about the CW shows, and I am going to continue to watch because I just hope it gets better.
Great.
But also, this is no Riverdale.
Yeah,
No Riverdale.
I know
That's all
Sam's
I
a huge
gotta
Riverdale
say.
fan. Sam, where can the people find you online before you wrap out?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43 and at SamDavidsonEntertainment.com. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you guys next week.
Bye, Sam.
See you next
Bye,
week.
Sam.
Thank you.
Guys, for those tuning in who maybe disagree with us, which let us know if you do. That's one of the most fun things about this show is hearing your comments. Let us know if you like it, what your thoughts are, where you disagree with us, where you agree with us, and let us know if you think we should be running an after show for this, especially for those who saw the second episode, which I think aired tonight.
It did.
Let us know your thoughts, and we may consider an after show if you guys are really into it. Until then, guys, my name is Jeff Graham. If you want to find me online, you can do so at Jeffrey C. Graham. We haven't picked our pilot for next week, but I think I'd like to spend at least a little bit of time talking about Mindhunter, which is a new Netflix show.
Serial killers.
But I'd like to include maybe one more show in there that's a little more recent, because I think Mindhunter came out like 5 days ago. So where can the people find y'all online?
Oh, let me go. I'll go first. You guys can hit me up on Twitter at DeAnjilo TV and at DeAnjilo on Instagram. Where can you find me?
And I'm Linda Antwi, and you can find me everywhere social media. Linda is so girly. GIRLIE.
Guys, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Of course.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.